Have you ever noticed how your mind remembers certain moments again and again? Think about your life for a moment. You have probably experienced many good days. You have laughed with friends, enjoyed meals with family, and achieved small successes at school or work. These positive moments are part of your life story. However, when you think about the past, another type of memory often appears more quickly. It is usually a negative moment. Maybe it was a time when someone criticized you in front of others. Maybe it was a mistake you made during an important presentation. Maybe someone said something that hurt your feelings. Even if that moment happened many years ago, you may still remember it clearly. You may remember what people said, how you felt, and even where you were standing. At the same time, many positive moments from the same period may feel less clear in your memory. This raises an interesting question. Why do negative moments stay in our memory longer than positive ones? The answer is connected to how the human brain developed over time. Our brain did not develop mainly to make us feel happy. Its first job was to help us survive. Thousands of years ago, life was much more dangerous than it is today. Early humans faced many threats, such as wild animals, natural disasters, hunger, and conflict with other groups. In that kind of environment, remembering danger was extremely important. If someone forgot a dangerous experience, they could easily repeat the same mistake and put their life at risk again. For example, if a person once ate a poisonous plant and became sick, remembering that experience would help them avoid the same plant in the future. If someone once walked into a place where wild animals lived, remembering that place could help them stay safe next time. Because of these challenges, the human brain slowly developed a strong sensitivity to negative experiences. When something bad happened, the brain paid close attention and stored the memory carefully. In this way, negative memories became an important tool for survival. Even though modern life is much safer than the past, our brains still use the same system. Today, the threats we face are usually social or emotional rather than physical. We worry about being embarrassed, being rejected, losing opportunities, or making mistakes in front of others. Even though these situations are not life-threatening, our brain may react to them as if they are serious dangers. Another reason negative moments stay in our memory is the intensity of emotions. Strong emotions help our brain record memories more deeply. When something negative happens, our body often reacts immediately. Our heart may start beating faster. Our muscles may become tense. Our mind becomes very alert. This reaction is part of the body's natural stress response. Because the experience feels intense, the brain marks it as important information. As a result, the memory becomes very clear and detailed. For example, imagine that you once made a mistake while speaking in front of many people. Perhaps you forgot an important point or used the wrong word. At that moment, you might have felt embarrassed or anxious. You might remember the faces of the people in the room, the silence that followed, or the moment when you realized your mistake. Even years later, that memory may still appear in your mind very clearly. Positive experiences can also create strong emotions, but they often feel calmer and more relaxed. When something good happens, we usually enjoy the moment but do not always think about it deeply afterward. Because of this, the memory may not become as strong as a negative one. Another important factor is how our mind processes problems. Human beings naturally try to understand and solve difficult situations. When something negative happens, our mind often continues to think about it long after the event is over. Psychologists sometimes call this process rumination, which means repeatedly thinking about the same situation. For instance, imagine that someone says something critical about your work. After the conversation ends, your mind may continue to analyze the situation. You may ask yourself questions such as, why did they say that? Was my work really not good enough? Did other people think the same thing? What should I do differently next time? Because you keep returning to the same moment in your thoughts, the memory becomes stronger each time. The brain treats repetition as a sign that the information is important. Positive moments usually do not create this type of repeated thinking. If someone gives you a compliment, you may feel happy for a while, but you rarely spend hours analyzing it. As a result, the memory does not become as deeply fixed in your mind. Our social nature also plays an important role in this process. Humans depend strongly on relationships with others. Throughout history, belonging to a group was essential for survival. People needed cooperation from others in order to find food, share resources, and protect themselves from danger. Because of this, the human brain became very sensitive to social signals. Positive signals, such as praise or acceptance, make us feel safe and valued. Negative signals, such as criticism or rejection, can make us feel threatened or insecure. This is one reason why negative social experiences stay in our memory so strongly. If someone rejects us, laughs at us, or questions our abilities, the brain treats the event as an important warning. It tries to remember the situation so we can avoid similar experiences in the future. You may have noticed this pattern in everyday life. Imagine that 10 people say something nice about your work, but one person criticizes it. Even though the majority of feedback is positive, many people continue to think about the single negative comment. The brain focuses on the possible problem rather than the many signs of approval. Another interesting aspect of memory is that negative experiences can shape the way we see ourselves. If we repeat the same negative memory many times, it can slowly influence our beliefs. For example, imagine that a student once failed an important exam. If the student continues to remember that moment and think about it often, they might begin to believe that they are not intelligent enough. Even if they later succeed in other subjects, the old memory may still influence their confidence. In this way, memories do not simply record the past. They can also affect how we understand our identity. However, it is important to remember that negative memories are not always harmful. In many situations, they help us learn and grow. When we reflect on mistakes or difficult experiences, we can gain valuable insights. We may discover better ways to handle similar situations in the future. For example, someone who once gave a weak presentation may later decide to prepare more carefully, practice speaking skills, and improve their communication. In this case, the negative experience becomes a useful lesson rather than just a painful memory. The challenge appears when the mind holds onto negative moments too tightly and for too long. Instead of helping us learn, the memory may continue to create stress or self-doubt. Fortunately, understanding how memory works can help us manage this tendency. When we realize that the brain naturally pays more attention to negative events, we can begin to observe our thoughts more carefully. If a negative memory appears in your mind, you can pause and ask yourself whether the situation is still relevant today. Sometimes the event happened many years ago, and your life has already changed in many ways. It can also be helpful to give more attention to positive experiences. Many good moments pass quickly because we do not reflect on them deeply. By consciously noticing positive experiences, we can strengthen their presence in our memory. For example, when something good happens, you might take a few moments to appreciate it fully. You can think about why the moment matters to you and how it contributes to your life. Sharing positive experiences with others can also help reinforce those memories. Over time, this practice can create a more balanced perspective. Negative moments will still exist, but they will not dominate your thoughts as strongly. In the end, our memories are not simply a collection of events. They are part of the story we tell ourselves about who we are and how we have grown. Negative moments may appear more clearly in our minds, but they do not define our entire journey. Every person experiences embarrassment, disappointment, and failure at some point in life. These moments are a normal part of learning and development. What truly matters is how we respond to them and how we continue moving forward. When we understand why negative moments stay in our memory, we can see them with more clarity and less fear. Instead of seeing them only as painful experiences, we can recognize them as signals that once helped us learn and adapt. And with that understanding, we can gradually allow new memories to take a larger place in our minds. These can be moments of progress, connection, and personal growth.